Hey guys, and welcome back to ScarletSprites. Well, today we are taking a look at the Neo Geo Arcade Stick Pro, and I know that might surprise some of you because I said I was not going to be buying this. SNK was kind enough to send this over for the channel to look at and review, and I am going to do a review of this unit, but curiosity got the better of me, and I really wanted to open this up and take a look at what's inside, see what we might be able to swap out, and see what makes this thing tick. And that's the first video. This is just kind of a preview before we get into the actual review. So sit back, relax, and let's take a look. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and tear down the Neo Geo Arcade Stick Pro. The first thing I wanna show is just how easy it is to replace the ball top on top of the arcade stick. In fact, on the bottom, there's actually, instead of having to take this whole case off, you've got this nice little rubber insert that pops right out. And then what you can do, I got a screwdriver here. So all you need to do is there's a flathead holding this on the bottom. This might be tough to see on camera. I'll throw up a few stills if I need to. This will be hard because of the angle, but I'm gonna twist and this ball top will just rotate right off. So there's that, and if I had been prepared at all, so I'll just take, this is a standard Sanwa ball top, and I'll just take that, and you can kind of just get this started by rotating that right back on, and then to finish that off, you gotta hold the stick with the flathead from behind. Just give that a little twist and then that'll stay on. So that's how easy it is to switch out the ball tops on these. Now how often you change the ball top, that's entirely up to you. I have other ones here. These are from my candy cabs. This one's substantially bigger, this green one. I don't know. It depends on personal preferences, maybe the game type. But again, it's just super easy to unplug this little rubber piece, get a screwdriver in there, and then you just hold that while you rotate the ball top off. Really nice that you don't have to open up the entire shell in order to change that. All right, next up, we're gonna go ahead and open up the shell. There's a lot of rubber pieces that go along the outside of this, and I don't know if the camera and the lighting will allow me to pick this up, but again, I'll toss up some stills. They're really easy, these rubber pieces, just to take out, and they expose the screws that you need to get to in order to open up the shell. There's one that's rounded that's kind of tough to open up because it lays flat against the back side of the shell. I just used a little eyeglass screwdriver to pry that and get that up. The rest of these you can see I'm just picking out with my fingers pretty easily because of the edge. So it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We've got 9 screws. I'll probably speed this up so you guys don't have to watch me just sit here and remove screws. So I made a mistake already. I said there were 9 screws. There's actually 10, and the 10th is hidden underneath this piece, which this holds an additional USB cable here. So the 10th screw you want to get out is located there. This is the first time I'll have had this apart. I'm hoping this just lifts off. There we go. Yeah, that's pretty easy. So this is the bottom shell, and that, there's nothing really to it. There's some metal plating, but that's about it. This is actually what's giving the stick the weight, because this is all just plastic. It's good, durable plastic. It feels pretty thick, but this is what's giving the stick its weight. Not unlike the Neo Geo mini controllers. You remember those had those little corner pieces that made this stick feel maybe a little bit more sturdy than it actually is. All right, so I'm gonna set that aside. All right, so now that we got this open, it's pretty easy to see inside here. This gate is just a standard restrictor. It has 4 Phillip head screws. This should be pretty easy to swap out. Unfortunately, I don't have anything on hand. I don't think that I can drop in here to show you how simple that is. These are just Phillip head screws. Pop that out, pop in an octagonal gate or whatever else it is that you might want. Obviously, this is the main board running everything for the system. And then here's your buttons. And this is all pretty easy stuff. These are just standard snap-in buttons. I have a Seimitsu button here on hand. I don't know if this will fit. This isn't a standard snap-in. This has a ring that rotates that holds it from the back side. I'll go ahead and give it a shot and see how easy this would be to use these type of buttons. But if you had the standard pop-ins, this would be pretty easy to swap out, Seimitsu or Sanwa. Since these are push buttons, these are pretty simple to remove. You can kind of see where the legs overhang on the back. You just want to grip that, push them together, and then you should be able to pop the button right out like that. And there we go. That's the blue button. And this is a Seimitsu. You can see that the Seimitsu has a longer shaft on it, and then it has this ring to kind of tighten. I don't know if I have any push buttons like these, so I can't show them going in, but we'll go ahead and try and see if this fits. It does. You can kind of see that the Seimitsu pops in. It might be tough to feed this ring down over top of it. That's probably going to be really tight against the shell. Well, it works. We got it in. It just barely clears the opening. I'll toss up a still of that as well. But it does work, and then I can hook this back up, and then, there's our Seimitsu button installed. So this stick looks like it'll be really easy to customize, put your own buttons on. Push buttons might be preferred for this because, again, that ring is going to be tough to tighten around the sides of these. But yeah, it works. I got it in there. And I think while I'm in here, I don't think I'm going to go buy myself buttons for this, at least not yet. But what I'm going to do is correct what I perceive as a wrong with this stick, and I'm going to do the standard layout. I'm going to go red, yellow, green, blue. I'm going to leave the hookups the way they are as far as the default for this stick, because I can change the button mapping in the menu of the Arcade Stick Pro, which is a really welcome change from the Neo Geo Mini. So let's stop there. I'm going to go ahead and start work on this, and I'll show you guys the finished product. So while I was working on the buttons, I remembered I did have a spare gate. This is a Seimitsu octagonal gate. The screws are just ever so slightly off, and I used this on an LS56. So I have to look and see what this actually is. I feel like a Sanwa gate would probably work. I'm just going to go ahead and take it off, and we'll see what it looks like. It's in there pretty tight. Yeah, this stick, I mean, it's not the worst. I've only played with it a little bit, and there's this little piece that goes around here. You can probably change the color of that if you'd like. I'm wondering what this actually looks like on the bottom. There's a lot of plastic here, and this thing is greasy too, which, I mean, under normal circumstances, that would probably be a good thing. But for today's purposes, I'm just kind of getting it all over my hand. There we go. So, I mean, the stick's not super tight as far as the spring goes. It's, I don't know, pretty standard stuff. And then here's all your, wow, and did I ever just make a mess? This is all of your micro switches. So the micro switches are not cherries, they're actually zippies. They've got a little bit of a tension to them, which I personally like for a stick. But yeah, that just kind of all came right apart. It's not the best design in my opinion, but you know, it is what it is. And now I get to put this back together and snap it. So that will be fun. So I thought while I had this open and this was a mess anyway, that I would go ahead and take the zippy switches and replace them with the D44X cherry switches, which are really, I mean, we could argue it, but I think most arcade enthusiasts would approve of me saying that those are the premier micro switches. Most people prefer those. But there is a problem, a minor one, and one that I'm not going to fool with today. I'll try to demonstrate it here. So the switch has to, this is an original zippy that was in here. And let me go ahead and, so this has to sit like this. So you see this hole here, and there's a peg, and that rests there. And then when you're pressing the stick is going to tap this switch and trigger the movement on the stick. I did start to switch these out to the cherry micro switches. The bottom of this extends, this leg extends a little bit farther out than what the zippies do. And again, I don't know if you guys can tell from looking at this or not, but if I try to put this switch on the plate, you can see here's where the hole, you run into a problem because this leg extends too far out, and it's kind of throwing off of the post here. You might be able to wedge this, and now your switch is at an angle. I don't really know how much this is worth fooling with at this point. Realistically, what you would do instead of just switching out all of these individual switches, you just buy a new stick. Just buy a new stick and place that whole thing in here. So I'm going to put this back together with the original stock switches. I'm sure there are people that will modify cherry switches, but realistically, don't try to use the stock plates to swap out if you don't want to hassle. If you're cheap and you're going that route, that's okay, but you might run into a little bit of a problem with the cherry switches on stock stick plates. And so that's really it for today's mini teardown. I think our takeaways are that this has a really easily swapped out ball top. It's got some artificial weight in the base of the unit. Buttons are really easily swapped out, and you're not going to want to take apart that arcade stick unless you absolutely have to. But other than that, I don't think there were too many surprises here. Stay tuned for the upcoming full review of this unit from a functionality standpoint. As always, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will catch you all next time. Later, guys.